morning, dear hearts. We are on lesson 96. Please subscribe. Today's lesson is Salvation Comes from My One Self. I would add a word, as I do from time to time. I would add my one true self. And the reason, and that self does have a capital, but the reason I would add the true self is because throughout today's lesson, the word self is used both with a capital S and a small. And I would like to be very distinctive in which is the self that I am looking to for that salvation, that freedom, that happiness. It truly would never come from the small s self. So adding the one true self and the word true before self in some of the passages, I think gives more clarity. And I'm always wanting to give more clarity, as most of you know. So although you are one self with a capital S, so although you are one true self, you experience yourself as two, both good and evil, loving and hating, mind and body. And that M should be with a capital M also, because if I experience myself as mind, in mind, as mind, God's mind, that would have a capital. But the body, if I am experiencing myself as a body, that means that I am experiencing myself through an ego mind, or as I would prefer, brain. And what we do know is that mind and body can never coexist. Mind and body can never reconcile. So this first paragraph is, telling us that we feel split, and we believe that we indeed are split. But the lesson that we had, that this one seems to invoke, was lesson 70, that my salvation comes from me. And what that lesson told us so beautifully was that there's nothing outside of me. Okay, there's nothing out there. If I'm experiencing myself in duality, good and evil, loving and hating, I am experiencing myself in a dualistic mind frame. And that will never be how I will find salvation coming from my one true self. This sense of being split in two in opposition induces feelings of acute and constant conflict. There are marketing ploys, and there are old cartoons that would show a little devil on one shoulder, an angel on one, a devil on the other, and they're constantly going back and forth, and it's like we're watching some sort of a pickleball match, right? Back and forth, listening to each one, and each one trying to convince us of their point of view. But these are contradictory aspects, and they will never reconcile for us, and we will never find our salvation, our happiness there. And then this lesson says, the opposites you see in you will never be compatible, but one exists. There is one self, true self within us. The fact that truth and illusions cannot be reconciled no matter how you try, what means you use, or where you use the problem, where you see the problem, must be accepted if you would be saved. We want to be saved. Until you have accepted this, you will attempt an endless list of goals you cannot reach, a senseless series of expenditures of time and effort, and probably green paper strips, hopefulness and doubt, each one as futile as the one before and failing as the next one surely will, because we are looking for our salvation in all the wrong places. There's a quote that I've used many times from the text telling us that because the ego is trying to offer us something, and yet that never pans out, that we are forced to shift ceaselessly, one after the other, yet hoping one will bring us the salvation, the happiness that we want. That's never going to happen. The self you made can never be your true self, nor can your true self be split into and still be what it is, and it must forever be. A mind and body cannot both exist. Make no attempt to reconcile the two, for one denies the other can be real. If you are physical, Your mind is gone from your self-concept, for it has no place in which it could really be part of you. If you are spirit, then the body must be meaningless to your reality. And again, back into the very beginning of the text, that spirit is in a state of grace forever. Your reality is only spirit. Therefore, you are in a state of grace forever. And that state of grace does not include having a body. It's useless to spirit. Spirit makes use of mind as means to find its true self-expression. And the mind which serves the spirit is at peace and filled with joy. Its power comes from spirit, true spirit, and is fulfilling happily its function here. Yet mind can also see itself divorced from spirit and perceive itself within a body. That is that I would again call that the brain that divorces itself, separates itself, that part of the split mind, which is the part that the ego uses, sees itself as apart from spirit, apart from what we truly are, and then confuses itself with a body. And without this function, when it has no peace and happiness, it's alien to its thoughts. Mind apart from spirit cannot think. I would also say that mind apart from spirit cannot even exist in truth. So we are dissociated from our function when we believe we are bodies and our small s selves. Waste no more time on this. Who can resolve the senseless conflicts which a dream presents? And this is a dream that we are in. It seems to be an endless one, and very often with nightmarish qualities. Salvation cannot make illusions real, nor solve a problem that does not exist. When we are in the illusion, salvation can't help us. The only thing that can help us first is awareness that this is not real, because salvation is the atonement. Salvation is the union of thought, the union of knowing that we are indeed one with God. It is forgiveness. It's radical. It is where our strength lies. And none of that can be found in an illusory problem. Our true self retains its thoughts, and they remain within your mind and in the mind of God. We are, again, mind in mind. God is the mind with which I think, which also tells us that if I'm not thinking with God's mind, in truth, I'm not really thinking at all. I just think I'm thinking. Salvation is a thought you share with God because His voice accepted it for you and answered in your name that it was done. Salvation has already been accomplished. This is indeed a journey without distance. We're looking at this experience, this adventure that we're on from the point where it has already been accomplished. Salvation is complete. We are, in truth, knowing who we really are. We know that true one self. We're doing 5 minutes at the beginning of every hour. Our hourly 5-minute practicing will be a search for God within our mind. Salvation comes from this one true self through Him who is the bridge between your mind and salvation. Wait patiently and let Him speak to you about your true self and what your mind can do, restored to salvation and free to serve its will. So we begin our lines to go into practicing. Salvation comes from my one true self. Its thoughts are mine to use. The thoughts of salvation, the thoughts of unification, the thoughts of equality, the thoughts of complete joy, peace, and happiness. All of these attributes of God, gifts that God has for us. And that says that these are your own real thoughts. When we think in alignment with God, these are our real thoughts. When we join our mind with the one mind that we in truth are, that is where we will find our true thoughts. Here are your thoughts, the only ones you have. Salvation is among them. find it there. Find it in those 5 minutes that we go into our practice. If you succeed, and it's succeed in only the tiniest amount, your thoughts that come to you will tell you that you are saved. We have been welcomed home. We are knowing where we really are, who we really are, what we really are. Confusion will be done. We are restored. We have found our true self. And your true self knows that you cannot fail today. Perhaps your mind remains uncertain yet a little while. Be not dismayed by this. The joy your true self experiences in salvation will save for you, and it will yet be yours in full awareness. And then it tells us that each time today that we do these lessons and we tell our frantic mind that salvation comes from your one true self, that it is indeed that inside job, you lay another treasure in your growing store, the treasure house of our mind, that where all of God's gifts are. And why are they there? They are there because they've been given to us, and now we can share them. We can extend them to all of the sonship, because we only get to keep the gifts if we give them away. And that is what we want to do more than anything. Give them away, that we will keep them and have them and share them forever, eternally. So that's it for today. I hope it helped. Some of this lesson I think could have been a little confusing. I hope I brought some clarity to it. Please like, please share, please subscribe, please comment, please smile. Look how far we've come. And with the realization that you are one true self, your salvation, your happiness, your freedom, it's within each and every one of us. Always there, always has been, and is always waiting for us to just connect to it. And smile and breathe into this wonderful news, and pray for the strength of God and His peace, His eternal peace, to be ours today, that we may have it and share it. Namaste.